Okay, so here we are at the end of another MCU entry, and honestly, guys, at this point, there's been so many inconsistencies up to this point regarding the MCU after Endgame. Of course, there's been some surprise hits as far as Shang-Chi, Loki, WandaVision, etc., but then we've also had big misses as far as Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I don't care what anyone says, that is a miss. Thor: Love and Thunder was a miss. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania didn't even come close to what it was trying to hit, and now we have Secret Invasion, which of course is still, for whatever reason, following the trend of previous MCU shows where they have interesting concepts presented to us for the first few episodes, and then for whatever reason, for the rest of the season, they shorten their runtimes, shorten their attention to detail and character development, and decide to just push out whatever they can to just give us some grand finale. And they, for whatever reason, still have not learned their lesson. And now, here we are with Secret Invasion. Well, yeah, Secret Invasion is what I was just describing. But I'm saying all that to say this. It brings me to ask this question. Does anyone care anymore? And when I say anyone, I mean not only the MCU fans themselves, because clearly there's a division between us where only a certain few people feel like it's important to even watch this stuff anymore. Some are just waiting for certain movies to come out. It's no longer everybody in the MCU, or the MCU fans are no longer on one accord. We're not all anticipating every single thing coming out anymore. Everybody's waiting on a certain project. There's no consistency. There's no story to look forward to. There was even a tweet that came out last week that said if an Avengers movie were to drop, the leaders of the Avengers would be Shang-Chi, Captain America, Anthony Mackie's Captain America, we haven't even seen yet, and Shuri. And while I'm a big fan of Shang-Chi for sure, and I like the Shuri casting, Captain America, we have yet to see him in a movie. And personally, even if these are the three leaders for the Avengers team, who's the rest of the team, and what does this even look like? Like, I don't... Marvel is truly just leaving us more and more speechless, and that's in a bad sense. They're leaving us very speechless in a bad sense after all these projects, because we truly still have no idea where this thing is headed. But this is my Secret Invasion review, so let's just get into it. Hey guys, it's your guy in the chair here, and look, this is my review for Secret Invasion, Disney Plus's MCU limited series, or however you want to describe it, and it follows Nick Fury finally coming back to Earth after being in space all these years from, basically just trying to get away from the blip, and he's coming back to face what he essentially set up in the past, where he promised the Skrulls that he would find them a home while they sit there and protect his. They protect Earth, him and Carol Danvers will go out in space, find a home for them, and try to make sure that, the Skrulls can live in peace. But the Skrulls got tired of waiting. They decided to take over certain people in America and and they have a leader named Gravik, and they decided to just cause straight chaos and war, and Nick Fury has to put a stop to it. So, with all that being said, guys, the way this review is going to work is I'm just going to talk about what I liked about the show, what I didn't like about the show, kind of my just discrepancies with Marvel in general, and kind of just get my whole feelings out about this, because while I am very, 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 very excited for the Marvels, like I said, it's just some inconsistencies to the point where Marvel fans are just not on one accord. I don't think there's many people excited for the Marvels, and personally, there wasn't many people excited for this show, and I am highly convinced that everybody honestly just waited until all 6 episodes came out to binge this thing, because I promise you, for the first 5 weeks, there was only like 3 people on Twitter tweeting about this on a week-to-week basis. There was not this many people. Now, all of a sudden, when the finale drops, everybody wants to drop spoilers and make me have to just, get to the TV as fast as I can because I can't be on Twitter. That's such an annoying trend, but it is what it is. It's just showing that people are no longer interested in the MCU as they used to be. And well, before I get into all those discrepancies, look, what I liked about the series is Sam Jackson. Sam Jackson carried this thing. Sam Jackson as Nick Fury was fucking amazing. He absolutely, honestly, brought something to this character that I feel like we needed to catch up with Nick Fury, if that makes any sense. It probably doesn't, but basically Sam Jackson truly brought to life this story in a much different way than the comics do, but I really like the character arc and I like the development that they did on Nick Fury himself. And they showed not only how the blip just affected his mind, but how being in space all those years and being away, it kind of took away from, things changed while he was gone, and people no longer see him as, the furious Nick Fury that they once saw, the mighty leader that they looked to change things. He's a different man now. And I love the way that this show kind of, digs into the character arcs and the studies of, Nick Fury and how all of that just affected him and how it brought him to where he is now in his life. I really enjoyed that. What I did not, there is still a few other things I enjoyed, but of course I'm just ready to talk about what I didn't. But what else I liked? I like Ben Mendelsohn as Talos. Honestly, I think I just like him as the character. I can't necessarily say I liked what they fully did with his character. I hated what they did with Kobe Smulders, especially because she falsely pretends that she was going to be a big, what is her character's name? Maria Hill. She's promised that Maria Hill was going to be a much bigger effect in this series. That was completely wrong. Oh, and if I haven't said it already, which I don't think I did, this is a full-out spoiler warning. I'm just going to go ahead and get into full spoilers here because there's not really a reason for me to hide what I'm trying to say here, because truthfully, you either care and you watch this series or you don't, and you're just watching a video like this to just find out should I care in the first place. And truly, I still don't have an answer to you. If somebody were to get blipped from when Endgame came out and they came back into Earth now and they came and asked me what MCU projects I should watch, or, what the MCU has been like since I've been gone, I'm going to say, honestly, bud, you only missed like a few hits. Other than that, it's really been kind of cringy, and we're honestly all really in a state of shock and worry right now. We are in a state of worry with the MCU. I don't know where we're headed. Hopefully we're going to make this 180 when the Marvels comes out, but like I said, before I get into all that, look, as far as what I also liked about the show itself, Martin Freeman was good. Emilia Clarke, I feel like she redeemed herself in the last episode, but up until then was completely wasted. Marvel series, for whatever reason, have a issue with, honestly, the runtimes. The runtimes will start off with series and be like 58 to hour episodes, or hour-minute episodes, and then for whatever reason, after like the second to third episode, they start to shorten those, make them like 40 minutes, 35 minutes, and the finales, for whatever reason, are the shortest episodes of the entire series, which of course I'm not understanding, because you're not doing that good of a job portraying these new characters as much as you think you are. Like, the build up to Emilia Clarke's powers and her having all those array of powers at the end of this thing, it felt truly rushed. And on top of that, it didn't necessarily, I knew that she was going to want to get revenge for Gravik killing her mom and Talos, her father, but it's just like, we never got to spend any real time with Emilia Clarke's character to truly feel like we've earned this battle at the end. And on top of that, I feel like the battle was kind of lackluster anyway. It was kind of a letdown. I mean, it was cool. It had some very cool things. Honestly, I was more interested when she was in Nick Fury's form at first and then super punched or Hulk punched him literally through the building. I thought that was really cool. But, then once we revealed that it's Emilia Clarke, not that, Emilia Clarke makes it less cool. It's just, once that fight happened, it kind of just felt like, Gravik just became, as all villains do, just a loudmouth villain who, once something kind of doesn't go his way, he starts to lose his sense and just, starts to do things very chaotically, and just, honestly, he steps, so, like, villains do this often in shows, like, once something goes haywire for whatever reason, and they kind of address this in She-Hulk, they completely step away from who they are and what they're doing and who they've been the entire series, and they don't make smart moves anymore. They just make loud, dumb, big villain noises and just try to be a big villain, and it just doesn't really work out. And that's what Gravik ended up being, which is a complete waste of his character, because in the first 2 episodes they built this show up perfectly. The tension, the dynamics between the characters, essentially the pressure that you feel of who's a Skrull, who's not a Skrull. Honestly, they did a great job of setting all that up for the first 2 episodes, and then after that, it's like they just did away with it. Honestly, now, if you haven't guessed, I'm just going to get into what I didn't like about the show. Only things I liked about the show, I'll say, was Sam Jackson for sure, Ben Mendelsohn, Martin Freeman was cool, Emilia Clarke was good at the last episode, but I personally felt like she was wasted up until then. Everybody else, however, is either just a waste as far as like, kind of just like, they're a waste as far as like, you know, the writers didn't necessarily know what to do with these characters, or they're a waste, like they just show up for a few quirky lines and then just do some things and just, you know, leave. They don't ever have like a serious true impact on the show. The character that I'm describing there, I don't know what the character's name is, but it's like the female agent or whatever. She was very entertaining for like every part that she showed up in. It's just I thought she would have much more of a massive impact on the show, and she just didn't. And I truly credit or discredit that to the writing of the show and how they handle, you know, the rest of these episodes after the first two. One thing I absolutely hated was the way we handled Colonel Rhodes' character in this show. Once Don Cheadle, after the first two episodes, dropped the Colonel Rhodes act and did his best Alonzo Harris impression, I was done with his character after that. I didn't like his, and for those who don't know, Alonzo Harris is from Training Day, Denzel Washington. Y'all need to study up. But once he dropped his Colonel Rhodes stuff and started to do his scroll impression of Alonzo Harris, he lost me at that point. When, you know, Don Cheadle tried to base up Nick Fury in that dining room or whatever, wherever they were having that conversation when they were having drinks or whatever, and Don Cheadle tried to act like he was big and bad. I was just like, obviously you're not really trying to hide the fact that you're a Skrull, but okay, we can go with this. And he just, from then on, his performance for me was just kind of annoying. On top of that, absolutely hated the fact that apparently Colonel Rhodes has been not in service or whatever. Basically, Colonel Rhodes was taken over as a Skrull since Civil War, and for us to find that out. And find out that not only wasn't Rhodey in Infinity War, but wasn't him in Endgame either. So not only does he not know that Tony's dead, but it's just like the emotional moments between Rhodey in Infinity War. Well, mainly Endgame between him and Tony. But, you know, when Rhodes was looking for Sam, when he got blipped away in Infinity War, it's like those emotional moments, or those, you know, basically those are very important character moments too, because it's like, even though it's a very small moment in the movie, the fact that Colonel Rhodes shouted out to Sam, even if that was the closest guy next to him when he got blipped, it still showed that him and Sam had a certain amount of relationship there. And I don't know, it just feels like them making that Rhodey like be a Skrull ever since Civil War just kind of does away with all the important character moments. And on top of that, I feel like this is kind of them trying to set up Armor Wars, but who is really looking forward to Armor Wars? Like, if Terrence Howard was taken over as Rhodes in Armor Wars, sure, maybe I'd be like, okay, we can get on board with that. I mean, would they ever really make that decision? No, because Don Cheadle is our Colonel Rhodes. But it's just like, maybe they made that decision to do something, set up for something in Armor Wars, but I was not on board with their decision whatsoever for that to be the moment when Rhodey got replaced. And as far as the rest of the series goes, look, I feel like everything's just rushed. Everything, like I said, the finale is completely just rushed. Moon Knight's finale was rushed. Miss Marvel's finale was rushed. But they honestly, what they really rushed in that series was having that villain having that female villain as, you know, one of the main people in Miss Marvel. She was truly the issue there. The finale for Miss Marvel, I truly didn't have too many problems with. It was mainly just the villains in that show. The She-Hulk finale, it just felt like, you know, it just felt like finally we're done with this. It's over. While I did enjoy She-Hulk and it was very entertaining, it felt like what a lot of these MCU shows are just feeling like at some point. Like, we have some sort of direction we want to point you in the first few episodes, but then after that, we completely lose sight of what we're doing here, which feels like a lot of MCU projects in general. Like, they have some sort of direction in the beginning, but they want to add so much and Easter egg so much and preview so much, and they want to kind of, you know, just, I don't know, they're just all over the place at this point, where they're not really building the anticipation that we once had as Marvel fans. Like, it's just not there anymore. Like, truly, after watching this series, it's not like I can run to anybody and say, guys, you gotta go check out Secret Invasion. Like, I think Secret Invasion is going to tie into the Marvels, and truthfully, they'll probably fill you in anything you need to know in that movie. Like, you really probably don't even need to watch Secret Invasion that much, because if we're being truly honest, the only characters that it really impacted on a grand scale was Nick Fury, Emilia Clarke's character, who hopefully shows back up, and after that, yeah, and Don Cheadle. Other than that, nobody else in our MCU world is truly affected by anything going on, except for maybe Carol Danvers. So like I said, maybe in the Marvels they'll bring up some more Skrull stuff going on. But as far as I'm concerned, look, Secret Invasion, while the first few episodes definitely fooled me into thinking this was definitely going to be Marvel's comeback to, you know, where they want come back to peak, it wasn't. It definitely wasn't a bad series, to say the least, but it definitely isn't one that I would say is going to keep your attention. It's interesting for certain parts and periods of the show, but there are so many moments in it where you're just like kind of taken out just by like, I don't know, it's just not everybody, like, if it's not dealing with Fury or anyone, it's truly not that interesting. Like I said, Ben Mendelsohn was good as Talos, but I truly think just him being Talos was the good part, because I didn't necessarily gravitate to anything they did as to him as a character. His death truly felt, it didn't impact me the way I thought it should. I wasn't really like sad or anything. Like, it kind of just felt like, okay, Gravik killed him. All right. Awesome. Like, we're all right, what's next? Like, we're just, I don't know, I feel like Marvel's truly skipping over us trying to get emotionally connected to these characters, which is why Emilia Clarke's performance in the show is, to me, kind of a letdown, because the way they teased her up so much, they didn't really do much with her in the first few episodes. Like, she dies by Gravik's hand, comes back to life, and she, you know, finds out, you know, her dad died by Gravik's hand, and now she's going to switch sides and stuff like that. It just all happens so fast, you truly never get an appreciation for the growth that these characters are going through, or you never truly get an appreciation for the characters themselves and their stories and their arcs. It's like, if your name isn't Nick Fury, you're truly not important to this story whatsoever, and the Secret Invasion treats you that way. But look, those are my thoughts on the show. It's pretty average, to say the least. Should you check it out? I say do it at your own risk, because, or maybe not at your own risk, because it's not a bad show whatsoever, but just do it at your own will, because I wouldn't say this is anything to rush to the TV for. I wouldn't say this is anything that you definitely need to watch before the Marvels comes out. Truly, if you skip this before the Marvels, I don't blame you, but I truly am going to advocate that you go see the Marvels, because hopefully that is the movie. Hopefully that is the project. I've been saying this for so long. I'm hoping that is the project that brings us all back on one accord. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 I hold as an exception, because it was the ending to the Guardians story, and like, truly, and that was James Gunn's ending as well. So I hold them kind of separately between those projects, because Guardians can't really build our excitement for what the MCU is supposed to be, because we're not really sure what's going to happen with most of those characters anyway. So that's why I separate Guardians. But as far as like the MCU stands now, I'm worried. I'm really worried, and I hope at one point we can all get back on one accord and truly build towards something grand. Like, I hope that the Kang Dynasty movie, I hope that the Secret Wars movie, I hope that those truly, like, oh well, the build up to those movies, because if we get to those movies and there's been no build up, or there's been no change in pace, and like no change in intensity to where like we truly feel like the stakes are high as they've ever been for the Avengers at this point in time, I don't even know how the movie's going to perform. But look, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Look, be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and so much more. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the Secret Invasion limited series, what you think of the MCU as it stands right now. Are you worried about its future? Are you hopeful for it? I'm hopeful, but I would be lying to you if I said I wasn't on the fence of being very, very nervous. Honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. A reboot is looking promising. Well, I don't know if it'll happen, but a reboot is looking like a likely option in MCU's future. I think some sort of soft reboot or something should happen, because I think they have truly lost direction. We don't have any direction here, and this story here, it gives Fury a direction, but as far as the grand scheme of things and setting up where our world is, like, we honestly, it's been maybe like 7 projects, and nobody has still addressed that big ass guy stuck in the earth from the Eternals. It's been like 7 or 6 projects since then, and nobody has addressed that guy whatsoever. So I don't know if he's gone or if he's just there and we just made a monument of it, and I don't know. But I just need the MCU to figure this out. I'm trying to figure out if Kevin Feige still cares. I'm trying to figure out if they really do. Does anyone still care about the MCU anymore? Because if you don't, give it to somebody else and let them handle it, because they can do a better job. But either way, guys, thank you so much for watching. Look, this is your guy in the chair. More content coming to you soon.